Hello, and welcome back to the shadows. The Alpha King has staked his claim, but a defiant rival stands ready to challenge him for his fated queen. To my returning pack, I knew you'd come back for the fight. To anyone new, I'm glad you found your way here. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. The story is just getting started, and you don't want to be left behind. Before we dive back into the chaos, a question for you all. What makes a true queen? Is it power, bloodline, or heart? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's return to the king's chambers. The words, "she," "is," "mine," were not just a claim, they were a force of nature. The king's command slammed into Silas with the force of a physical blow, a power so absolute it buckled his knees. He snarled, fighting it, his muscles straining as he tried to remain standing against the crushing weight of Ryker's dominance. The air in the room grew thick and heavy, charged with the king's raw, unrestrained fury. A low groan of effort escaped Silas's lips. He was an alpha, powerful in his own right, but this was a power beyond his own. This was the command of a king. Slowly, painfully, he was forced down onto one knee, his head bowed in submission. His dark eyes, however, burned with undiluted hatred. "You can force my knee," Silas ground out through clenched teeth, his voice a ragged gasp. "But the old laws remain. She sought my protection first. The other packs will hear of this. They will say, you stole a claim, that you broke tradition." King Ryker took another step forward, his shadow falling completely over the kneeling alpha. "Let them talk." Ryker's voice was a deadly calm, colder than ice. "Let them whisper in their halls, while I rule from my throne with my queen by my side. You came here to steal. You will leave with nothing but a warning. If you ever come near her again, if you so much as breathe her name, I will not banish you. I will erase you." Without another word, Ryker flicked his wrist. An unseen force lifted Silas from the ground and hurled him back through the open doorway. He crashed into the stone wall of the corridor with a sickening thud before slumping to the floor. Guards, who had been standing frozen by the king's power, immediately swarmed him, dragging the groaning alpha away. The great doors boomed shut, leaving me once again alone with the king in the echoing silence. The explosive violence vanished as quickly as it had arrived. The oppressive power in the room receded, and the fire in the hearth seemed to burn brighter, warmer. King Ryker's broad shoulders relaxed, and he let out a slow breath before turning back to me. The inferno in his eyes was gone, replaced by a soft, glowing warmth that was focused entirely on me. "He's gone," he said, his voice a low, reassuring rumble. "He will not touch you again." I was still pressed against the headboard, the fur blanket clutched to my chest like a shield. My body trembled, not from fear of Ryker, but from the sheer, overwhelming display of power I had just witnessed. And from the impossible truth of his words. "Queen? Me?" "But what?" he said. I stammered, my voice barely a whisper. "The old laws." I fell into his arms. "I'm an Omega. I have no status, no power. Your people, they will never accept me." Tears pricked my eyes, blurring his powerful form. "I can't be your queen. I'm not worthy." Ryker's face softened completely. In 2 strides he was beside the bed, sitting on the edge as he had before. The intensity was still there, but now it was laced with a tenderness that made my heart ache. "Do not ever say that," he commanded. Though his voice was gentle, he reached out, his calloused thumb brushing away a tear from my cheek. The simple touch sent a jolt of warmth through my entire body. "Your worth is not decided by status or by the opinions of others. It was decided by the moon goddess herself, the moment she spun your soul as the other half of mine." He leaned closer, his amber eyes searching mine. "I have been king for 100 years, Ilara. I have ruled over armies, commanded alphas, and built this kingdom with my own 2 hands. In all that time, I have been alone. I believed I was fated to be. Then I saw you. His voice dropped, thick with an emotion I couldn't name. Your weakness at the ceremony was not a flaw. It was the purity of your spirit, overwhelmed by a bond so powerful it brought you to your knees. A lesser wolf would have been torn apart. But you, Elara, you endured. That is a strength greater than any alpha's posturing. That is the strength of a queen. My mind struggled to accept his words, to believe them. All my life I'd been told I was insignificant. Yet this man, a king of legends, saw me as his equal, his fated one. The bond hummed between us, a silent song of truth that my own insecurities could not deny. My wolf, so timid for so long, was preening under his praise, urging me closer. This was right about one thing, Ryker murmured, his gaze dropping to my neck, to the sensitive skin just above my collarbone. The bond is not yet settled. It is a thread of moonlight that anyone with enough power can see. He tried to pull on that thread, to steal you away. I must secure it. I must make it unbreakable. I knew what he meant. The mark. The bite that would permanently link our souls, our lives, our very essences. It was the most intimate connection 2 wolves could share, a claim visible to all. The thought sent a tremor of both fear and a deep, surprising longing through me. He didn't wait for an answer. He didn't need one. He could feel my soul reaching for his. He leaned in, his lips brushing against the place where my neck met my shoulder. The scent of ozone, forest, and embers enveloped me, chasing away the last of my panic and leaving only a dizzying sense of rightness. This might hurt for a moment, little one, he whispered against my skin. But then, you and I will be one. I tilted my head, granting him access I hadn't known I was willing to give. I felt the sharp points of his canines graze my skin, a promise of what was to come. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing myself. There was a sharp sting, a spike of pain that made me gasp, but it was instantly consumed by a blinding flash of pure ecstasy. A wave of power, his power, surged into me, filling all the empty, broken places inside me. I felt his strength, his history, his loneliness, and his overwhelming love for me, all in a single, earth-shattering moment. The bond didn't just snap into place, it forged itself in divine fire, branding my soul with his. My back arched, and a cry escaped my lips, a sound of both pain and pure pleasure. As the searing energy of the bond began to settle into a warm, permanent hum beneath my skin, I collapsed back against the pillows, breathless. Ryker pulled back, his lips stained with a single drop of my blood. His eyes blazed with a fierce, triumphant possession. On my neck, the fresh bite mark tingled, a permanent symbol of who I belonged to. Mine, he growled. The word of vow. Now and forever. He bent to kiss me, to seal the claim. But just as his lips were about to touch mine, a frantic, deafening banging erupted from the chamber doors. Your Majesty, forgive the intrusion. It is an emergency, a guard's muffled voice shouted from the other side. Ryker's head snapped up, a dangerous growl rumbling in his chest at the interruption. The tenderness in his eyes was instantly replaced by the hard glare of a king. What is it? He commanded, his voice booming. A message, sire. From a scout on the southern border. The guard yelled, his voice strained with panic. It's Alpha Silas. He didn't flee the territories. He went to the borderlands. He's taken a village. My blood ran cold. The borderlands. My home. Ryker's jaw clenched, his entire body going rigid. Which village? He demanded. The guard's next words struck me like a physical blow, stealing the very air from my lungs. It's your queen's home village, sire. Silas has taken her family. The bond is sealed, but the war has just begun. Elara is now the fated queen, but her family is in the clutches of a ruthless enemy who will stop at nothing to use them against the king. If you have to know how the Alpha King responds to this declaration of war, make sure you are subscribed and your notifications are on for part 3. Hit that like button if you felt the power of that mating bond. And let me know in the comments, how should a king rescue his queen's family? Until our next story, stay wild.